Hello friends and welcome to Tutorials Point. Well, we've studied quite a lot about nouns, pronouns, adjective, adverbs, verbs and so on and so forth, isn't it? So we've covered a lot of topics in grammar. But now that we've covered them, how do we use them in our language? That's important, isn't it? So how do we get them into picture? How do we use? How do we write? Or how do we speak them? So don't you think it is really important to manifest whatever we've read in our daily life? So for that reason, prepositions are really important because they help you to glue together all the different categories of words that you've learned. So without preposition, writing or speaking or communicating in English language won't be possible. So it's a huge class of words that is used in the English language. So let's go ahead and study about prepositions. Okay, so as we already discussed, right, that prepositions are really important in our language. So what do? They actually help to, get together, or they actually help to glue or join the nouns, pronouns, or the different components of your language, or your, whatever you're writing or you're speaking it. So it helps to get them all together. So let's study the definition of prepositions. A preposition is a word that is used to link nouns, pronouns, or phrases to other words within a sentence. So you have different, categories, nouns, pronouns, verbs, etc., etc. So how do you actually get them into picture? How do you actually, make it very congruent or make it very seamless and smooth in your language? So it's only through the use of prepositions that you can help them all get together and help them, and you can actually construct a meaningful sentence. Now, they act to connect the people, objects, time and location of a sentence, right? So, what are the various examples which are used as prepositions? For example, as, of, to, for, with, on, etc. So it's a huge class, there are many examples of prepositions that are used in the language. Now, prepositions are usually short words. They are normally placed directly in front of nouns. In some cases, you'll find preposition in front of gerund verbs. So what are gerund verbs? Gerund verbs are ing form of action verbs, right? So you will use, these prepositions, they are so important in our daily life that we use them without even realizing that we are using them. So you will see them in front of almost anything and everything that you use in your language. So they are that very important, right? So prepositions are words that help to glue a sentence together, and without preposition, your sentence construction will definitely go for a toss. So let's go ahead and study in detail about them, and let's see what are the different types of prepositions that are used, or how do we use them in our language. Okay. So here are a few examples, right? I prefer to read in the library. So here this word in is acting as a preposition because it's gluing together the two parts of the sentences. He climbed up the ladder to get onto the floor. So up and onto here again are doing the work of prepositions. Please sign your name on the dotted line after you read the contract. Or go down the stairs and through the door. Or he swam across the pool. So all these words here, or here, take your brother with you. So here these words, what are they doing? They are, joining the various components of your sentence together to make it meaningful, to make it, more conveyable, or to make it so that, your sentence starts to make sense and the other person to whom you're addressing it starts to understand. So make it more relatable. So these, without, prepositions, you just cannot, use English language. So they are that very important. Okay, so, these are different types of prepositions. What bases the work that they do, or bases whatever they are signifying. Your prepositions could be prepositions of time, place and movement. So let's go ahead and study about prepositions of time. Okay, So from the name itself, you'll be able to gauge, right? So what would prepositions of time tell you? Obviously, they would refer to time, isn't it? They would talk about the time aspect of your sentence. So they are used to help indicate when something happens or will happen, right? So they are basically used to indicate time. So they are basically referring to the usage of time. So let's go ahead and see some examples. So at, on, in, so before, after. So these are very, very basic prepositions of time which indicate time in a sentence. So look at an example. I was born on July 4th, 1982, right? So on here is indicating time. So hence on is acting as your preposition of time. Or I was born in 1982. Or I was born at exactly 2 a.m. I was born 2 minutes before my twin brother. Or I was born after the Great War ended. So here, if you observe, before and after, what are they doing? They are actually, when you are comparing or when you are mentioning the time part of your sentence in comparison to something, right? That is when you're using before and after. Or here, on, when you're using on, or when you're using, what are you doing when you're using on or at? So on or at are giving you more exact time frames compared to in. So when you're using this word in, what is it doing? It's giving you a span, or it's giving you a long duration of time frame. So on and at are actually what are they doing? They are giving you more specific time frames compared to in. And before and after they are acting as a comparison. So they are doing more of a comparison thing, right? For years, months, seasons, centuries and times of day use the preposition in. So of course, because years, months, centuries, what are they? They are all spans of time. So when it is a span of time and not a particular point that you are talking about, in that case you're going to use in, right? For example, it's always cold in January. Or for days, dates and specific days, as we already discussed, what do we use? We use the preposition on, right? Or Christmas is on 25th of December. So now you are better clear, right? So when to use which kind of preposition of time. So of course, depending upon the context or the time frame that you want to refer to, you're going to use a particular type of preposition of time. Now as I already discussed with you, when do you use before and after? You use before and after when you are mentioning time in relation to a particular thing, right? So for example, David comes before Brian in line but after Louis. So of course here before and after, why did you use it? You used it because the time frame that you are mentioning here is in a comparison form, right? You are comparing, or that is how you are trying to point out to a particular time frame, right? So which is why you have used before and after. Now other prepositions of course of time, what would they be? During, about, around, until, throughout. So these are again which would refer to time. So the concert will be staged throughout the month of May. Again, throughout is telling you about a span of time. I learned how to ski during the holidays. Again, it's telling you about a span of time, not a particular pinpoint thing, right? He usually arrives around 3 p.m. So around is again not a very specific thing, something that you you just want to elaborate the time frame that you're referring to, or you're not very sure of the time that you're mentioning. In that case, you're going to use around. It was about 6 in the morning when we made it to bed. So of course, about here is again used in the same context. The store is open until midnight. So until here again is referring to time. Okay. Now prepositions of place. So of course, just like time, prepositions of time, they pointed out towards time, right? So preposition of place, what would it point out to? Of course, it is going to point out to a particular place. Now, where is the trick? So look at this thing. Now on, at and in, as we already studied, are prepositions of time, isn't it? But they also act as prepositions of place depending upon the context. So it is really important that you don't gauge prepositions just basis, you crammed a few words and these are prepositions of time, place and so on and so forth. No, you have to gauge them basis the context of the sentence, for which you should be clear as to what is the speaker or what is the writer trying to convey. Basis that you should judge and decide whether it is a preposition of time or place, right? So let us see an example. The cat is on the table. So here on is telling you about the place. Obviously it is acting as a preposition of place, though it also in certain situations can act as a preposition of time. Now same goes with the dogs are in the kennel, or we met at the crossroads. So in, at, on, they are also acting as prepositions of place basis the usage or basis the context of the sentence. So here, right, on is used when referring to something with a surface. For example, the sculpture hangs on the wall. It is only obvious, right, until unless you have a particular surface. How would you use this word on, right? So it is used in case you are referring to a particular thing or you're referring to a particular surface. In that case, you're going to use on as a preposition of place. Now in is used when, of course, when you're probably referring to a boundary or something inside it, right? For example, it could be anything. Now because it is bounded, it could be anything, in the ground, in the country, in the stadium, in the well, because all these things have a boundary around them, right? For example, Jim is in France. So of course in France, because France again is a country. Visiting his aunt in the hospital. So again, hospital and France here are two, boundaried objects that we are referring to. And because they have a boundary, hence we use this preposition in the form of preposition of place. Now, at is used when referring to something at a specific point. The boys are at the entrance. When you want it to be more specific and accurate, in that case, you're going to refer to as at. For example, he is at the door, right? So in that case, you're being more specific about the place. Okay. Now you have few more examples of prepositions of place. Now under, over, inside, outside, above, below, of course all of these words, they specify places, don't they? Now for example, the cat is under the table. So under here is doing the work of a preposition of place. Put the sandwich over there. So over here again is doing the work of preposition of place. The key is inside the car, of course. They stepped outside the house. Major is ranked above the corporal. He is waving at you from below the stairs. So all these words here are acting as prepositions of place. Okay. Now preposition of movement, right? So obviously, those words which specify movement, likewise time and place, of course they'll be referred to as prepositions of movement, right? So we studied about time and place, those words which specify time or those words which specify place. Now those prepositions which specify movement, they will come in the category of prepositions of movement. Now, most commonly, how would you indicate or how would you signify movement in your daily language? So, of course, to is the most commonly used preposition of movement. Now, he has gone on a vacation to France, right? I will go to bed when I am tired, or they will go to the zoo if they finish their errands. Other more, of course, specific. Now, to, of course, is the most commonly used preposition of movement. Now, you have other examples as well. So, more specific prepositions of movement would be through, across, off, down, into. Of course, now we can gauge, right? So, when would you use through or when would you use across, right? So, here across refers to movement from one side to another, right? So he swam across the river, right? Or I went across the river. So that is how you are because it's specifically indicating a movement from one side to the other side. In that case, you've used a cross. Now, Mike traveled across America on his motorcycle, obviously. So this is again a movement, it is indicating movement. Now here, through, when do you use through? Refers to moving directly inside something and out from the other end. So it is more specific compared to across, right? For example, the bullet he shot went through the window. So it's more like, a piercing movement. If you want to use it contextually, it will indicate more of a piercing movement, right? Now, into refers to entering or looking inside something. For example, James went into the room, right? So again, into here is what does it refer to? It refers to going inside something, or if you're look into the matter. So in that case also, you're looking into something. Now, of course, up, over, down, past, around. Of course, all of these, what do they indicate? They indicate directions of movement. So not only are they restricted to movement, they are also indicating direction of movement. Now, Jack went up the hill. So of course, here it is telling you, not only is it telling you movement, it is also telling you about the direction. Jill came tumbling down after, or we will travel over rough terrain on our way to grandma's house, right? So all these words here, they are telling you about the movement. Not only the movement, they are also telling you about the direction of movement. The horse runs around the track all morning. A car zoomed past a truck on the highway. So all of these words, they indicate movement. Okay. So now that we've studied about prepositions and we are so clear about it, let's practice this. She is not here, she is dash a holiday. Of course, she is on a holiday. Okay. A comes dash B in the alphabet. A comes after B in the alphabet. The cat is sitting dash the wall. The cat is sitting on the wall. Emily left school dash the age of 16. Emily left school at the age of 16. Of course, when you're trying to be more specific. I'll see you dash Monday morning. I'll see you on Monday morning. Do not open the tin with a knife. This laptop belongs to our teacher. The film was very funny at the end. We've been here for 4 days now. My cousin lives in Norway. They are walking dash the bridge. They are walking across the bridge. I don't like flying, so I went to Paris by bus. You can stay with me tonight, right? So you have all the answers ready for you. Whenever, of course, I'm sure you're going to practice, you're going to refer to them. So friends, this was all about prepositions. We will see you again in the next video. Till that time, keep learning with Tutorials Point and Tutorix. Have a good day.